Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to be learning how to make the window or the door for the Blanket the Town design. Here's one piece that I finished that shows a window and a door, and here's another piece. Okay, so this is what they look like on the front. This one I've woven in the ends already and looks tidy. And this one has some ends still to be woven in, a little bit of work left to do there. So let's get started and I'll show you how to do this. Okay. I'm going to show you how to make a window. So we're going to do window 12 as an example. I've already knitted a few rows just to get something on the needles for me to hold on to in the color that I'm going to use for the pane, the window pane, which is this light blue, and then we also have this dark purple. I'm going to start out by working the first two rows, rows 1 and 2, which are done in the frame color, which is this purple. And those 2 rows are just plain knit rows. I'm using wooden bamboo needles because the stitches are less likely to slip off of them. And when you only have a small number of stitches on your needle, there's not as much friction, right? Because there just aren't as many stitches as for a larger item to create friction between stitches and needle. And so using that wooden needle can be helpful. Okay, so those first 2 rows are knitted in the frame color. And then the next row, according to the chart, it's row 3. The first 2 stitches are done in the frame color. And then we introduce the color for the window pane, which I'm just using that blue, which I already have attached, but you'd be attaching it at this point. So you would attach this, and by attach, I mean just start knitting it, leaving about a 6-inch tail. And for the first row, we don't need to do anything too crazy. We just need to follow the chart, alternating 2 pane colors and then a frame color across until we get to the last 2 stitches. So 2 in the pane color and then 2 in the frame color. I want to drape somewhat loosely between the uses of these yarns because I don't want it to pull in widthwise. If I pull these really tight, then the whole piece is going to be cinched in. So I'm going to leave those a little bit loose. Okay, so that is what the first row where we're using the pane color looks like. Now that was a right side row. This is a wrong side row, which is worked a little bit differently. Get some more yarn out here. Things will tend to get twisted after a while, so every once in a while I have to stop and untwist the yarns. Okay, so the first 2 stitches are worked in the frame color, and then I want to work the rest of the stitches in the same color that they were worked on the previous row. I'm still going to have those drapes, but I want them to be on the wrong side of the work, which is facing me. So whenever I change colors, I need to bring the yarn that I'm dropping, which in this case is this frame color, towards me to the wrong side. And then I need to take the yarn I'm continuing with, which is on the wrong side, and take it to the right side, which is away from me. Okay, so now I knit the next 2 stitches in the pane color. The next one is in the frame color. So I need to bring this yarn for the pane color towards me, and I need to take the frame color that I'm continuing with away from me. Again, so that drapes are always on the wrong side. On a wrong side row, that means bringing everything towards me that I'm dropping and away from me that I'm continuing with. One more stitch in that color. And then bring it towards me because I'm dropping it. The yarn I'm continuing with goes away from me. Knit a stitch, making sure to drape somewhat loosely. Yarn I'm dropping towards me, yarn I'm continuing with, away from me, knit in that color, and then finally yarn I'm dropping towards me, yarn I'm continuing with, away from me, knit, knit. So that's the wrong side row. Okay, the next rows are worked the same as the previous 2 rows. So this is a right side row, just continuing with the same colors that I was already using. And now I want to make sure that I don't end up with an independent column of stitches here. So I need to cross these. So what that means is that I'm about to drop the purple color, my frame color. So I'm gonna swing it to the left and clamp it between my index and 3rd finger, and then pick up the yarn I'm continuing with and knit those 2 stitches. Okay, and now I can just work in kind of knitted Fair Isle style, just dropping the yarn and picking it up. The yarns are already on the wrong side when I'm working a right side row. And so I don't have to bring anything between the needles. Everything is already in the right position for draping between uses. So I'm just knitting the stitches in the same color as the previous wrong side row, draping slightly loosely. Okay. And so the next wrong side row is worked in the same colors. So frame color, frame color. Now I need to make sure my drapes are on the wrong side, so I need to bring the color I'm dropping towards me, the color I'm continuing with away from me. And again, I need to do that switcheroo. Color I'm dropping towards me, color I'm continuing with away from me. And the same thing. Just switching the positions of those yarns every time I switch them to make sure that the drapes are going to be on the wrong side of my work. Okay, just switching every time I change colors, making sure the color I'm dropping is towards me, the color I'm continuing with is away from me. Row 7 is just to work in the same color as the previous wrong side row. So I'm gonna knit the 2 stitches, and if I don't do something special here, I'm gonna end up with independent columns of stitches here. So what that special thing is, at the beginning of the row, when I first start with this alternate color, I need to swing my color I'm dropping to the left and clamp it between my index finger and my 3rd finger, and then pick up my pane color and begin knitting. And that is just going to cross those 2 yarns so that they're kind of twisted together. And I'm on a right side row, so I don't need to do anything special in terms of moving those yarns around. I just have to remember to continue to drape the yarn somewhat loosely. Okay. We have to do the switcheroo when we're switching colors. So again, bringing yarn towards us to the wrong side, the color that we're dropping, and then the color we're continuing with goes to the right side. Color we're dropping towards us, color we're continuing with. Sorry, I'm getting off camera. Yarn towards us, yarn we're continuing with away from us. Yarn towards us that we're dropping, continuing with away from us. Yarn towards us, yarn continuing with away, and knit the last two. Okay. So now the chart says that the next 2 rows are plain knitting in the frame color. So that's the dark purple. Okay, so just knit 2 rows in the frame color. We're pretty much at the middle of the window now. We're halfway done. That's the first row knitted. This is row 10, which is just knit to the end with the frame color. And after we finish this row, we're definitely more than half done. And you can see that we're starting to form a nice little window. Now, I didn't do it here, but this color, which is the pane color, I'm cutting this after each window. And so I have made little bobbins. And that has helped with the yarn management. So here I'm working a right side row and I'm going back to my cadence of starting with 2 frame color stitches and then 2 pane color, 1 frame color, 2 pane color. Frame color. 2 pane colors. And 2 frame colors. And now for the next 6 rows, I'm going to be continuing with that again to make the second half of the window. This is a wrong side row, so this is where I have to move yarns. So dropped colors come towards me. And color I'm continuing with goes between the needle. A shorter needle might actually be kind of handy here. Wouldn't be getting it caught so much. Dropping this color, continuing with the pane color for a stitch, just 1 stitch. And drop it, bring it towards me, bring this one away from me, make 2 stitches, drop this one, bring it towards me, continue with the purple, take it away from me, drop the purple, continuing with the blue. Once I make one of these little movements of the yarns become more automatic. So this is right side row 13. Right side rows. Just going to work the same color as the previous wrong side row. And again, I'm crossing. I'm swinging the yarn I'm dropping to the left. And I'm picking up the yarn I'm continuing with, which is coming from underneath. Kind of see that? And I clamp the yarn I'm dropping in my left index finger and middle finger, just until I've worked the first stitch. And then I'm working Fair Isle style or stranded colorwork style, making drapes across the row. Don't have to move any yarns because I'm working a right side row. And when you're knitting, the yarn is always on the wrong side when you're working a right side row. And how do I know I'm on a right side row? Well, my cast on tail is over here on the right side, and I have these clean color transitions versus the wrong side where I have the drapes. I've got a case of the drapes. So this is wrong side row 14. Again, I'm just working same color, previous right side row. Bringing this towards me. Let me find this, which is kind of twisted around my needle. Take it away from me, and then knit 2 stitches with that. I'm gonna drop it, bring it towards me. Bring the yarn I'm continuing with away from me. Knit a stitch. Towards me. Continuing with this color. Remembering to drape a little bit loosely. Towards me. Okay. Okay, this is row 15, and it's just worked in the same colors as the previous row. Again, this is the beginning of the row, so we're going to swing the old yarn, the frame color, to the left and pick up the pane color that we're continuing with from below, to make sure those are crossed and interlocked. Now, if you're working in the round in Fair Isle, you don't have to do that. That's something about working flat that needs to be done. Only when you're working flat. Okay, so we just have one more row to work in this Fair Isle or stranded technique. It's a wrong side row number 16. And it's a case where we have to bring the yarns back and forth again. I'm almost thinking that it would be a good idea to use the circular needles without the cable for this, because they would be shorter and I would be less likely to have this tangling problem, right? Like where I'm getting the yarns, as I'm moving them around, they want to get hooked on this longer DPN that I'm using. And I feel like the cable needles are long enough to accommodate 12 stitches but are shorter, so they're less likely to be hooking the yarn. So that is something that I'm going to try and see how that works. This is my last wrong side row, worked in stranded or Fair Isle. I don't know when to use which of those terms. They're used interchangeably as far as I can tell. So, okay. So now I could cut off this yarn, leaving a 6-inch tail for weaving. That's the end of the window pane, the second set of window panes. And now to end this window, I'm just gonna knit 2 rows plain. This is the yarn that is used for the Blanket the Town pattern. It is Rowan Felted Tweed. It's a DK weight yarn. It's quite soft. It's really lovely. And it comes in some really, really lovely colorways. The ones that I tend to gravitate towards are the ones that Kay Facette has designed. Okay, so that's my second to last. But I'm sure I have some of all of them, so. Okay, so that was the last row knitted. Okay, so there is the window completed. You can see there's a ridge of the frame color that starts, that's from those 2 rows, and then there's 6 ridges for the first set of panes. 2 rows or 1 ridge worked in the frame color, and then another set of panes, which is another 6 rows or 3 ridges, and then the final 2 rows or 1 ridge worked in the frame color. And here's what the back looks like. You can see the draped yarn like you would normally see in Fair Isle. Okay, so I hope that's helpful, and thank you for watching. Happy knitting!